Oh, hi, so Katie here. Topic of my video today is going to be Tommy Robinson again. As as you saw last week's video about him ended up with a lot of comments from his supporters, and most of them are obviously attacking me. I got a lot of dislikes on that video, a lot of thumbs down, but I mean, they obviously didn't like the idea that I wanted to talk about this incident. So yeah.
He's broke my fucking daughter!
And I'm gonna deal with it!
You're not! You're nicking me!
There's plenty of
What
officers
the fuck is
here.
that?
Plenty of officers.
Fucking nick him then!
We are dealing with
you
it.
Fucking arseholes!
We are dealing
Someone
with it,
sexually
Tommy.
assaults a little girl and you fucking nick their dads!
We are dealing
fucking
with it.
Punch you like.
As you see, Tommy Robinson got in a bit of a flap there. They say he says it's because his daughter was assaulted, but it's awful, but you know, he's still kind of a transphobic bigot, and his supporters are transphobic bigots, and they're fascists and racists and Nazis. And I can prove this. Well, you only have to look at the comments I got in my last video to know what sort of people support Tommy Robinson. I mean, amongst other things, I received a lot of transphobic abuse. I got called a freak several times. I got called names. I'm just looking at, like, I've made a list of what, what kind of things they were posting about me. A lot of them were all very personal. Comments about my appearance, calling me ugly. Several of those. Also, I was told that I needed a good kicking. So if they're not fascists, then why are they going around beating people up because we're saying stuff that they disagree with? Most sinister of all, I also got called a nonce, and they said that I was a threat to kids. Now, that is very serious because I don't have any criminal convictions whatsoever, and I am obviously not a paedophile, and that is really disgusting that they would even come out with that, but I'm used to that, unfortunately, because that is how trans people are treated online. So yeah, and still, incredibly, some people were saying that Tommy's not fascist. Well, actually, a trans woman who was beaten up by Tommy Robinson's thugs when he came to Warrington would be able to tell you a different story, because a woman called Alice Edwards was beaten up by a group of Tommy Robinson's male supporters, and they broke her nose. The pictures are pretty horrendous. And also, as well, when the papers didn't report this, only the Morning Star has reported it, which is ironically usually a transphobic newspaper, but the regular papers didn't report it because it was a trans woman being beaten up by Nazis. And so yeah, and also as well, they that they won't sort of report if it's a fascist beating somebody up. They won't. The papers are quite sort of outright anyway in the UK, so that they will will try and play it down. She had a lot of abuse from people online, people who were sort of being transphobic towards her and misgendering her, and I don't know whether the guy who did that to her went to prison or he just got let off. So yeah, but Tommy Robinson and Tommy Robinson supporters are also transphobic. That's what I wanted. That's the main kind of theme of this video. It's not wine, unfortunately. But yeah, Tommy Robinson supporters are also transphobic as well as racist and homophobic, misogynistic, Islamophobic, you name it. Here's Tommy discussing several things on a Rebel Media video. A few things I'd like to say about this before I play it is that amongst other things, he attacks transgender people in the armed forces, which is quite strange, really, for somebody who claims to be a patriot, I should say, sound American there. He attacks gender non-conforming children, which is pretty nasty because they're children, and he's an adult, a grown man, supposedly. And he refers to quotes unquote transgender bullshit. And he generally demonizes the trans community as sexual predators. So take a look at this video and tell me if you think that Tommy Robinson isn't a raging transphobe.
All women Cambridge College to let in students who live as a female. By live as a female, they just mean wear a dress. Yeah? You dress up as a woman, you can now go to an all-girls school. An all-women's Cambridge University College has announced it will let in students who are living as female, even if their new gender has not been legally recognised. So all they have to do is, I'm a woman. Do you know the people who encourage this madness? Chris Evans. Chris Evans turned up to a red carpet event, I forget what it was. He turned up with his 7-year-old son wearing a dress. No joke, you can find this online, have a look. And one of the journalists said, Chris, why is your son wearing a dress? And he said, Chris Evans, this what annoyed me so much. He said, it's not a dress, it's gender neutral. You know in our Navy, I believe I'm right with this, but if a man is on the ship and he says, I now feel like a woman, he gets a month off straight away, a month off, okay, a month straight paid off work. And then he can come back into work a month later and he can go live in the women's quarters. But no joke, what is this madness? What is going on? This is absolute destruction. And it's like we had the same situation to do with all this madness, all this transgender bullshit. All this, you have the same thing where you had a male prisoner, a man who raped young girls. He raped children, okay? He then feels like a woman. I feel like a woman. Oh, do you, mate? Well, let's put you in the women's prison. That's what they did. No, they put him in the women's prison. Guess what he did? He was put on solitary confinement within 24 hours because he was sexually assaulting and abusing women. If I get called transphobic for that, yes, I'm transphobic. On a lighter note, a machine that does your ironing costs £700, stick it in your wardrobe, your clothes go through it and they're ironed. We're actually not...
So yeah, and what I'm going to end this video by saying that, by playing another video, and I'm going to play it right out at the end because it's quite a long video, so I'm not actually going to, I'm not going to talk after it because you'll probably be falling asleep anyway by the time Tommy's stopped ranting. But this is a recent video that was uploaded about a week ago, and it looks like there's an organisation calling itself Hearts of Oak who are trying to stop LGBT teaching in schools, and particularly transgender teaching. They're going after transgender kids, just like the TERFs, so they probably had encouragement from the TERFs. In this video, Tommy attacks transgender children primarily, and he attacks people who have written books for children who are trans to try and help them. He appeals to the parents in Birmingham, in predominantly Muslim areas, and he's appealing to them because some of them have been protesting against teaching LGBT education in schools and saying that it's against their religion. I don't quite know whether it is against their religion because I think it's just a minority of Muslim people who are against LGBT people. Certainly most of the Muslims I know are, aren't transphobic and they're not homophobic. So, but Robinson is appealing to that wing of that extreme wing, like they do with the evangelicals and also the extremist kind of sort of sections of the Jewish community, to try and promote his hate. And he wants to form an alliance. He's offering in this video to form an alliance with Muslim parents, and he's actually very threatening because he says that basically they ain't seen nothing yet, the schools, once his thugs get involved and start hanging outside school gates and intimidating teachers and presumably LGBT children and transgender people and transgender children as well. Yeah, brave man, eh? And also he what was I going to say? I'm going to have to refer to my notes because I did want to say a lot about this. But yeah, I think it's time that we stood up to these people, like Tommy Robinson, because it looks like there's going to be a sort of wave of transphobia coming from them, because they think that by being transphobic, they can actually get into the mainstream that way, because they've been given the message by people like TERFs and the tabloid newspapers and sections of academia and the judiciary that transphobia is the respectable prejudice, the dinner party prejudice that the chattering classes will tolerate, and not only tolerate but promote. So I think it's important that we recognize that Tommy Robinson and the far right are also transphobic as well as racist, anti-Semitic and homophobic, and them being transphobic is as serious as that, because people have been murdered for being trans, people have been imprisoned, people have been maimed and beaten up and raped and had their lives made a misery and been persecuted by people like Tommy Robinson and regimes that around the world that are transphobic. And yeah, so please watch this video. Please be aware that these people are a threat and we should unite against them before they make too much certainly make any headway, because somebody will end up being killed, and it will probably be one of us, a member of the transgender community. So yeah. So anyway, love to you all, and I really apologize for this video that I'm going to show you, but stay strong everyone, and it's important we're aware of this. And please let me know what you think about this in the comments, and so cheerio, and take care everyone, and stay safe. Bye.
Of it. In fact, on our Day for Freedom event, we had a drag artist come out because it's about freedom. Okay? If a man wishes to dress as a woman and walk down the street, I support your freedom to do so. Okay? What I don't support, and what we cannot support as a country, is this to primary school children. Okay? And we'll get on to why. The reason why. 10 years ago, there used to be 2 referrals a week for gender dysphoria. I hope I've said that right. I have many problems with it. There used to be 2 referrals a week. There's now 50 a week. Okay? The media celebrate any dysphoria within children, which 50% of the children end up having autism. We have the Tavistock Foundation is the one organisation which children are sent to when they have gender dysphoria. They've had 35 resignations in the last 3 years. From experts, medical experts, who are standing against what is being forced. Many of the statements people have made when they've resigned is, we don't feel we can talk about this because of the trans lobby, who then attack them. People feel silenced, that they cannot speak about this issue. Now, where have we heard that before? Where have we seen that before? We've seen social services, police leaders, everyone whose job it is to protect children, stand by and allow industrialised rape of a generation of children because they were scared to talk about the issues. They were scared to talk about the issues for the same reason that now medical experts are scared to address these issues. That is because many organisations and groups who are funded attack them, destroy them, deplatform them, slander them. Let me read now. So, medical professionals are being silenced on this issue. That's why I want to talk about it. That's why I believe we have to talk about it. There is a Muslim gentleman in Birmingham who faces prison for taking his child out of school because he stands against this indoctrination of his child. Okay? Remember, this is becoming compulsory. I believe he's in court on the 30th of March. We have to stand with that man. The British public must stand with that parent. It is his right to decide, and not, and again, I'm going to be called transphobic, hateful, bigoted, homophobic. I will weather that storm because I'm standing up as a parent and I'm standing up for what's right. It's morally right, it's righteous. Let me read you now some primary school books. And this is where the confusion is coming into young children. One book, Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Seahorse, a stunning picture book from Eric Carle about Mr. Seahorse and other male mothers. Male mothers. Another book, Jacob's New Dress. But Jacob wants to wear a dress to school. This is confusion of primary school children. Another book, Billy's New Frock. Billy wakes up to find that he has turned into a girl. Another book, I Am Jazz. This confused her family until they took her to a doctor who said that Jazz was transgender and she was born that way. These books, and in fact, I hate to do this, but I will do it. I'll quote the Guardian newspaper. Another book, and my issue on this is they're primary school children, okay? You're talking, some of the children now being referred to these gender dysphoria are 3 years old. Sargon said to me earlier, my son when he was 3 thought he was a fire engine, okay? You're now sending them for gender dysphoria appointments 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, 13%. We've had 10,000 children now. And are we going to ignore it and be silenced? We've seen what happened to a generation of our daughters already. This is child abuse. My name is Kit and I'm 12 years old. This is from another book for primary school children. My name is Kit and I'm 12 years old. I live in a house with my mum and dad and our dog Pickle. When I was born, the doctors told my mum and dad that they had a baby girl. And so for the first few years of my life, that's how my parents raised me. This is called being assigned female at birth. I wasn't ever very happy that way. These are the opening lines of a new book called Can I Tell You About Gender Diversity, which is being introduced into primary schools. You wonder why you are confusing our children. We are sitting on a trans time bomb of confused young children growing up. And when we talk about, I've spoke about the way that people don't feel free to speak about this. I've watched as the Muslim community, the more I've looked into it, they've been silenced in Birmingham. They've been silenced, they've been stigmatised, they've been slandered as extremists. I've seen the local politicians condemn them. They're parents who have fears and worries about what's being taught to their children. The message I'd like to give about this organisation and about activism to the British establishment. Do you know what's so crazy? This is all happening under a Conservative government. Not under Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, under a Conservative government. The silencing and the fear aspect. We want to become an umbrella for people across the country. The 90% of Welsh citizens who opposed this, and it was forced anyway. We want to give a message to the British establishment that if you think this is going under the carpet and quietly passing through for compulsory teaching in children's education by September, if you think you've seen problems outside schools in Birmingham, you haven't actually seen anything yet. Because, and I'll put the olive branch out to the parents in Birmingham, I think that the British public have to support them. The main problem here is that many parents will not even be aware that drag artists are being brought in to speak to children at school, to read nursery rhyme books, that these books are becoming part of curriculum teachings. The increase going up of over 2,000% each year of gender dysphoria. So, in that, as a father, as a guardian to my children, I will not allow a nanny state to remove my parental rights. And I want to make sure that people join. If you wanted a movement to join, I urge you to join it. I urge real LGBT activists. We've come a long way in protecting gay people's rights. I'd be the first person to speak up for gay people's rights. These videos, this teaching is nothing about gay people's rights. This is about an enforced indoctrination into primary school children. I implore you to join this fight. I implore you to join this movement. The nanny state makes for a terrible educator and an even worse parent. I'd like to thank you all. And again, I'd say we've had some great speakers. I'm proud to be part of a movement that's going to stand up for the citizens who feel silenced. The only way to do it is to spread the word, to join, and to protect a generation of children from what can only be described as cultural Marxism. Thank you.